This episode of iFanboy is brought to you by GoDaddy.com and Netflix.com. This week on iFanboy, Ron gets his hands on a true piece of comics history, Connor goes back into the storage unit, and Josh takes a look at a new original graphic novel.
Hey, welcome to another edition of iFanboy, the comic book discussion show from the website iFanboy.com. My name is Ron Richards, and today I've got a really awesome special treat to share with you. Many of you in the iFan base have been very kind enough to send us things, to email us to get our address, because you've got comics you want to share with us, and that's totally awesome. One of our favorite people, Tad Stones, sent us a box of some comics that he was planning on getting rid of, and in that box, I found a gem. It's called Witzend. And it was published in 1967, so it's really old. It's not by Marvel, it's not by DC, it's not by any publishers you ever known. This is actually self-published by Wally Wood. Now, if you're familiar with old comics, Wally Wood is one of the gods of comics. He was a great cartoon strip illustrator through the 50s and 60s, as well as done some amazing comics work. And he published this magazine all by himself, purely for the celebration of comics, to get his work out there, to get his other friends' work out there. This is the third issue. It sold for $1 in 1967, and not only does it feature some cartoon strips by himself, by Wally Wood, also some of his contemporaries, people like Frank Frazetta. You might recognize him from all those, Conan paintings and things like that. You have some great fantasy work done by him. There's a couple of strips by Harvey Kurtzman, the great comic illustrator. Art Spiegelman, who you've heard about from Mouse in the 80s. Art Spiegelman just in 1967 was just doing comics like everybody else. Was doing underground counterculture comics, and we get a great long piece by him. And one of my favorite pieces in here, the leadoff piece, is Mr. A by Steve Ditko. Steve Ditko moved on from Marvel Comics, from doing Spider-Man and things like that, kind of abandoned traditional comics, and for years has been doing his own comics, Mr. A being one of the main characters. To get a Mr. A story in its original publication is really a special thing. It's a beautiful black and white art. It's a little aged. It's got a little bit of, there's some discoloration on the cover, things like that, but this is a really rare item. If you ever see it at a comic book convention, you want to grab it. It hasn't been reprinted as far as I know. It's one of those kind of one-off things that Wally Wood published himself. That is really a really special treat, and I want to thank Tad Stones for sending it in. I owe you huge for it. This is definitely a gem in my collection that I'm going to keep I'm going to treasure forever. So up next we got Connor, and he's going deep into the storage unit to find something to talk about.
Thanks to GoDaddy for sponsoring this episode of iFanboy. If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com is what you need. .com names as low as $1.99, plus world-class hosting, fast and easy website builders, and much more. Right now, if you use the coupon code FAN13, you get 20% off your 1, 2, or 3-year hosting fees. That's all available now at GoDaddy.com. Hey, welcome back. My name is Conor Kilpatrick, and it's that time again. That's right, it came from the storage unit. What is that? Well, every now and then I like to come down here and talk about some books from my storage unit. I go out to get my comics, which are kept in a storage unit way across town. I pick out a bunch, I bring them here, I look at the cover and try to tell you what the story was just from seeing the cover. And that's hard because a lot of the books in my storage unit I haven't seen in 5, 10, 15, even 20 years. Last time I did this, I only had one book. This time I have a bunch right here, which I cannot see. I'm looking at you and not the books. I'm going to pick a random one out for you right now and try to guess. And we'll go with this one. And I picked Avengers number 332. Avengers number 332. Now, this is awesome because it looks like the Avengers are having a cocktail party, which is always nice. I can see from this cover that the comic costs $1, which puts it in the early 90s category. I see here that we have a little mixer going on with the Avengers and the Fantastic Four, and I see Wolverine there, and Dr. Doom is clearly going to crash. Now, the question is, what happens in this issue? There's two possibilities I think. One is a membership drive, which is probably unlikely, and the other is there's some sort of event, perhaps a wedding, or perhaps just the annual Avengers Fantastic Four Wolverine cocktail mixer, which is a hot ticket. It's a hot item, and you can't always get on the guest list for that. And if you're Dr. Doom, you got to crash it. So that's what I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess they're having some sort of mixer, some sort of celebration, some sort of personal celebration, some sort of achievement, perhaps the annual Avengers Awards, the Avengies, which is always prestigious. So let's see what happened in Avengers 332. The many faces of doom. The Avengers request the honor of your presence at the gala celebration marking the opening of the new Avengers headquarters. It's an opening! Oh, Johnny Storm is being prophetic. Wow, that is a double-page spread. Daredevil, Falcon, some sort of delegation, Spider-Man, Nick Fury, Wolverine, Doctor Strange. Is that the Sandman? What the hell is the Sandman doing? Is that Stan Lee? So wait, the Sandman's on the team? I think he's on the team. What the? Oh yeah, I remember that. The Avengers have a whole security staff, which seems sort of redundant when you're a superhero. Why does Dr. Doom always have to crash a party? Dr. Doom, you sly fox. Okay, how did I do? Well, I predicted some sort of social gala or a wedding, which was not really my prediction. But I was sort of correct. It was the opening of the new Avengers headquarters. Now, it's kind of like a big deal. You go, you have a big opening, everybody shows up in a tuxedo, there's drinks, there's canapes, you have awkward small talk, and then a supervillain comes and crashes the party. And that's what happened here. What was really interesting about this is there's a little note, well, there's a big 2-page spread that shows all the guests at the party as the Fantastic Four walk in. The issue opens up in the Fantastic Four arriving with their big invitation, which lets you know what's happening. And then they walk into this big double-page spread, and we see all the guests, and you see some dignitaries, and you see the Avengers, and you see some old Avengers, and you see Wolverine, Nick Fury, and you see Stan Lee. And then Sandman is up in the corner talking to Rage, and he tells Rage he should have worn a tuxedo, even though he's only wearing a tuxedo over his Sandman shirt, which I don't know about. I think it's a fashion faux pas. But there's a little asterisk down at the bottom here. It says, a superhero's costume is just as acceptable as a military uniform on dress occasions in the Marvel Universe. And that right there is service, folks. Now you know the proper manners in the Marvel Universe. You know what is acceptable and what is not at a proper dinner gathering. And next issue, hopefully we learn what you do with your dinner fork, and what you do with your salad fork, and what you do with your dessert fork. Perhaps they'll tell us that next issue. Larry Hama, you should do that. I forgot Larry Hama wrote the Avengers, actually. This is a really fun issue. I like when the characters can all gather together. I like when you take different characters who don't normally interact, like the Fantastic Four and the Avengers and some of the X-Men and Nick Fury and Doctor Strange, and you put them all in a room. And in this issue, of course, Dr. Doom is being left out of the party. He's not at the party. He's not been invited to the party. And so he crashes the party, first by trying to sneak his way in, and then he finally gets in by pretending to be Iron Man. He has some sort of cloaking Iron Man outfit, and he presses a button and it pops out, and he's Dr. Doom, and he says, haha, I'm Dr. Doom, and I'm going to ruin your party. I'm going to destroy all these appetizers. And I also like the fact that there was Avengers cupcakes that Rage's grandmother baked. She baked little cupcakes with the letter A on them, which I think is nice. That's sweet. I like to think of an old grandmother baking cupcakes for Captain America, who won't take his shield off at the party. Jesus Christ, Steve Rogers, loosen up. God, it's a social gathering. It's not something you need to be wearing the shield all the time. Everyone else is lightened up. Sandman's put a fake tie over his shirt, and why is he even on the team? I forgot. There was a brief time in the early 90s, and this is the early 90s. This is 1991. Where Sandman was on the team. That'll throw you for a loop. I love these issues. I love to have the characters be all together in a social situation, and then that leads to chaos, of course, but I like seeing them sort of unwind. And Stan Lee's telling jokes. Stan Lee's telling stories that the Vision doesn't understand because he's a robot, and robots don't have a sense of humor. But apparently they can impregnate Scarlet Witches. We know that much. So there's Stan Lee talking to Daredevil and Hawkeye and the Vision. This is a great Avengers era. I love the early 90s Avengers. Classic team. Good art. Paul Ryan's great art on this, with inks by Tom Palmer and script by Larry Hama. Great team. Great Avengers era. I need to pull all these issues out and read them over again. So it came from the storage unit. Stay tuned. We got some more for you. Hey everybody, let me tell you a bit about Netflix.com. With more than 12 million members, Netflix is the world's largest subscription service, streaming movies and TV episodes over the internet and sending DVDs by mail. For $8.99 a month, Netflix members can instantly watch unlimited TV episodes and movies streamed to their TVs and computers and can receive unlimited DVDs delivered quickly to their homes. With Netflix, there are never any due dates or late fees, and members can select from a growing library of titles that can be watched instantly and a vast array of titles on DVD. Among the large and expanding base of devices that can stream movies and TV episodes from Netflix right to members' TVs are Microsoft Xbox 360, Sony's PS3 game consoles, and this spring, Nintendo's Wii console. Find movies you love, easily. You can browse, search, or see the recommendations for you. They even have a special back-of-the-box feature that lets you see any detail of any movie instantly. As a Netflix Unlimited member, you get DVDs by mail in about 1 business day. Watch as many movies as you want, shipping is free, and there are no late fees or due dates. Unlimited plans start at just $8.99 a month. As a new member and an iFanboy viewer, you can get a 2-week free trial membership. Go to netflix.com/iFanboy and sign up now. Be sure to use this URL so they know we sent you. Recently, I discovered I could stream the entire run of Charles in Charge, and that was a Scott Bale rabbit hole I did not need to go down.
Hello, son. Today we're going to talk to you about Hellblazer Pandemonium, story by Jamie Delano and art by Jock. This is a new John Constantine graphic novel. If you know me from listening to the show and reading the site, I'm a big fan of both Jock and Hellblazer. It's the story. I think it's the series I've been reading nonstop for the longest, at least 10 years now. So it's the only one I haven't dropped for whatever reason. And because it's been good most of that time. I've heard about this graphic novel for a while, and I've been very much looking forward to it. Jock, as you know, is a favorite artist of mine. And Jamie Delano, I'm actually not a big a fan of his Hellblazer stuff, but he is the guy who, after Alan Moore, really was the one who did most of the work. He had the early bulk of the series, and you know, he came up with who the character was. I think those stories don't resonate with me as much because they were done at an earlier time and they have a different aesthetic, but he definitely knows the character, and this book was very enjoyable because of it. Here's the basic premise. There's an Iraq war going on. You may have heard about it. But that is the sort of cradle of civilization between the Tigris and the Euphrates, and there's a lot of old spirit, demon energy and stuff going on there, and some of the very bad demons have taken over some soldiers and captives and things like that and made them go on murderous rampages. So the American government has found a way to get Constantine to come down there and help rid them of their demon problem, but they can't do it straight up because he doesn't want to go do that. So they blackmail him, and they use this girl at the British Museum, and they corner him into believing he's done something wrong, and they've got him screwed to the wall. One of the really interesting things about this is that the girl Asira is not what you would typically think of as being sort of the beautiful femme fatale in something, but Constantine Constantine. It's very difficult for me. Is constantly drawn to like the pain and suffering that has been in her life, and that's what he finds attractive. Totally drives him nuts. And I thought that was a really interesting little character moment that happened. He arrives in Iraq, and he's not treating anybody with respect, and he's just being his typical jerky self to everybody. But he still is there to help. He's going to do the things he has to get out of it and beat the demon, because he likes to beat the demon, and he ends up in this sort of weird, hellish poker game, which is basically what happens. It's a really fun story. If you like Constantine, it's him. Jamie Delano knows this character perfectly. And on the other side of things, you have the art of Jock. And it's funny because Jock doesn't show up all that often. What he does, it seems to be in chunks. Like a year or two ago, like we got Green Arrow year 1 at the same time as Faker came out, and then you don't hear from him for a while, and now he's on Detective at the same time that this graphic novel comes out, and all the Loser stuff is picking up soon because of the movie. And you'll find that this one is maybe a little bit more when I think of his other work, I think of big action-y shots, and this one is a little more ethereal, a little more calm. It's still very good. It's interesting because I read a preview of this in black and white, and there was not a ton of, and I didn't know what it was going to look like. I got the color version, and it wasn't that much different. The color's very muted in this. It's very subtle. Sort of a page has one whole shade. Like outside, it's got a sort of a deserty brown. Inside, there's a cool, cool bluish color. When you go to hell, things are red. Things like that. I think it's a great book that if you've never read Hellblazer and you wanted to give this a try, this is a good one. This hardcover's out, so it's $25 retail. You can obviously get it cheaper. I'm sure there'll be a soft cover at some point, but it is a pretty good intro to the world of Hellblazer, and that is all I have to say about that. Check it out. If you liked the stuff before, you'll definitely like this one. You can also go to iFanboy.com to comment on this show or on any of the other segments that were in this anthology episode. You can send us an email at contact@ifanboy.com, or you can write in at 888-FANBOYS, which is 326-2697. I think that's right. It'll say it there if it's not. What was the other thing? Oh, yeah, Twitter. God, that's how the world communicates. You can follow us at twitter.com/ifanboy, or you can go to ifanboy.com/about, and you can see how to follow the rest of us all over the web. Thank you very much for showing up. And, I'll tell you this. John Constantine shows up, says pretty much anything to usually get away from him, because he's not good news. He's bad mojo. That's what I think. But it makes a hell of a comic book. Bye.
Hey, before we let you go, we wanted to tell you about the news here at iFanboy, and you may have seen it on the internet in the last week or so. assuming you're watching this show when it came out. If it's 2047, perhaps this is less relevant to your interests. But if it's 2010, here's the news. iFanboy has been acquired by Graphically. Graphically is a company that's focused on digital comics distribution. They've got an application that they're working on. You may be part of the beta. You may have seen it. You may have checked out the website. You may have seen us talk about it on iFanboy.com. They're also creating a community around that application. They like what we're doing, and we liked what they're doing. We talked, and they decided to bring us into their team. So they've acquired us, and iFanboy is now a division of Graphically. You can check out all the details at iFanboy.com. There's a red post. You can check it out at the top. We answer a bunch of questions. How is this going to affect the show? How is this going to affect our audio show? How is it going to affect iFanboy.com? The answer is not really a whole lot. The shows are pretty much going to stay the same. The website's going to stay the same. We're our own entity. We're just a division of the other company. We're still going to do what we do. They bought us because they like what we do, so obviously they wouldn't want us to change too much of what we do. The only thing that will change is that we get some more time and some more resources, stuff we didn't have before, stuff we'd maxed out. We'd basically taken iFanboy as far as we could go with it, on our own, by ourselves, and we've really had a lot of stuff we'd like to have done over the years, but haven't been able to. But now, hopefully, with this deal, we'll be able to do more stuff. So you'll see improvements to the website, you'll see improvements to the shows, you might see some new things we'll try, you might not like some new things, you may like some new things. We're going to play around now that we've got more time and more resources, so you'll be seeing more and better stuff. That's what the deal's all about, making iFanboy more and better. So check out iFanboy.com. You can see all the details about the news there. You can check out Graphically, the links at the bottom. And this is good news. So if you have any questions about the deal or about the future of iFanboy, send us an email at contact@ifanboy.com. But the future is bright. We're really excited about it. Thanks for watching. Three, two, let me move over here. Fuck, the phone. The big question you should be asking yourself, really, is not what book is he going to pick, but is he wearing pants?